The United States has denounced a death sentence imposed on a British Columbia man in China as politically motivated, adding heft to Ottawa's effort to intensify international pressure on Beijing to spare his life and to release two other detained Canadians. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and Foreign Minister Chrystia Freeland met Tuesday and expressed their concerns about the arbitrary detentions and politically motivated sentencing of Canadian nationals. Earlier this week, a Chinese court applied the death penalty to Robert Lloyd Schellenberg, who was originally sentenced in 2016 to a 15-year term for drug smuggling. The court delivered the new sentence after reconsidering his case. Freeland has asked for clemency for Schellenberg and has called his sentence inhumane. Yesterday, a Chinese government spokesperson brushed aside Canada's intervention request, saying the courts exercise their powers in accordance to the country's laws, free from interference. The developments come after China detained two Canadians on national security grounds back in December in apparent retaliation for Canada's arrest of Huawei executive Meng Wanzhou. The Insurance Bureau of Canada says severe weather caused $1.9 billion in insured damage last year. The National Industry Association says it's the fourth highest amount of losses on record, but no single event actually caused the high total for 2018. It highlights smaller events across Canada, including $410 million from a windstorm in Ontario and Quebec in early May, and $240 million from summer storms across the prairies. IBC spokesperson Craig Stewart says in a statement that climate change is costing Canadian taxpayers, government, and businesses billions of dollars annually. The association says it's advocating for more investment in new infrastructure protecting communities from floods and fires, improved building codes, and other measures. The dollar figure comes from data from catastrophe indices and quantification. U.S. authorities said a Georgia man accused of plotting to use an anti-tank rocket to storm into the White House was arrested in a sting yesterday after he traded his car for guns and explosives. U.S. Attorney Bing J. Pak said that 21-year-old Hasher Jalal Taheb is charged with attempting to damage or destroy a building owned by the United States using fire or an explosive. Last week, Taheb told the undercover agent he wanted to pick up weapons this week and drive directly to Washington to carry out the attack. The affidavit says Taheb said they would approach the White House from the back road, causing a distraction for police, and then would proceed into the White House using an anti-tank weapon to blow open a door and then take down as many people and do as much damage as possible. New U.S. House Democrats walked across the Capitol from the House to the Senate side to call for Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell to pass bills that would reopen parts of the government. They walked to McConnell's office in the Capitol to deliver a letter signed by more than 35 House Democrats asking him to allow a vote on legislation to end the shutdown and reopen the government. McConnell was not in his Capitol office, so they walked into the Senate floor to try and deliver it to him there. When they found out he was not on the Senate floor, a group of 4 female Democratic House members took a tram underground on U.S. Capitol grounds to his office in the Russell Senate office. They spoke to staff in his office who also told them he was not there.
Reopen government several times. We have the votes in the Senate to reopen the government. It's Mitch McConnell who refuses to call a vote on it. So it's not even that we don't have the votes. We have the votes, and he's running away from calling a vote. He knows that tomorrow Republicans leave on a retreat.
Ontario's environmental commissioner says fewer than 1% of people who weighed in on the government's decision to scrap the province's cap-and-trade system expressed clear support for the move. Diane Sack says her office reviewed most of the 11,000 comments submitted as part of a public consultation on a bill introduced last year to dismantle the carbon pricing system brought in by the previous Liberal government. Sack says almost all respondents wrote wrote to voice support for decisive action on climate change, and many were dismayed that cap and trade was being canceled, particularly before a replacement plan was even announced. The legislation to eliminate the cap and trade system passed in late October after the 30-day consultation concluded, but before the results were actually made public. It was introduced in July, but the final vote was delayed when an environmental group launched legal action against the Progressive Conservative government, alleging the province had flouted Ontario's Environmental Bill of Rights by failing to hold public consultations on the issue. The legal action will still move forward on allegations that the government also skipped mandatory consultations on a regulation related to the cancellation of cap and trade. A spokesperson for the Environment Minister said yesterday the government was elected on a promise to eliminate cap and trade, but did not address SACS's analysis of the consultation results.